So the excitement never ends around here. I mean, at my house where I live. There's always something going on. I've been through some more migraines, but I think I worked out what the problem is. I'm just going to wait a few more days before I declare it as the answer. And I do have a growing list of videos to really try and make. It's just, migraines. Can't focus, can't do it. But I think things have settled down for now. I just have some observations before I forget and decide I don't care anymore. Observations about, I don't know if it's necessarily schizoid personality disorder specific, or maybe it's a form of dissociation, or just detachment in general, my mental illness in general. So, I've got the glass child trauma, which is, I have a disabled brother. He's got epilepsy, cerebral palsy, and a general intellectual impairment. Not autism, even though Mum will sometimes say that just to, shorten a conversation because she doesn't... I get it, but it's not accurate. So quite obviously intellectually disabled, and he can walk, but he's unsteady. He's had to have Botox in his legs, I think just once, and that really helped him. He can't really jump. I've never seen him jump. And if he's trying to run, it's very awkward and you worry he's going to fall over kind of thing. But the epilepsy is one of the freakier things, I guess. To me, it's my life, so I don't react the same way that I imagine someone who's never seen one might react. In terms of glass child trauma stuff, I think I'm doing okay at the moment. My mental health is okay as long as I'm not having heaps of migraines. I did have a breakdown yesterday because it was my 4th migraine for the week. But I think we found the problem, so cross fingers, because I really just want to get on with my damn life. Now that my mental health is stable enough that I actually have goals now. And to have that stolen by my physical health sucks. And yeah, so I'm just hoping that I'm getting my physical health sorted and not making any more mistakes and sort of just understanding what I react to. So the glass child trauma also, I think my parents have chilled out a bit and sort of realized the impact of that. I've had a few really rough years. But Dad's in therapy, I think mainly for his own anxiety, but hopefully the psychologist is, helping him understand some of the language that I use, and just some of probably the cognitive distortions would probably be the most useful for an old white boomer. Mum, on the other hand, will never do therapy. She's too stubborn for that, but I feel like, we've been able to talk more and she's trying more, and I don't really know. She's been more social, so who knows? She could be talking to someone and just not want to admit it to me. Japanese kind of that stubborn thing, and, trying to put on one image, but there's more going on. Oh, gosh. Trying to psychoanalyze my parents so I can get on with them better. It's a thing. But anyway, so I feel like the parental situation has chilled out a bit, and maybe they're making a little bit more effort to understand me and what I've been trying to communicate, because communication is such an important thing. And then I think also my mindset, I've just managed to get on top of that. I think last year I started to get into a bit more of a groove with my creativity and my music, and then I got the gig, and so I was focused on that. And then things started to get a little bit chaotic after that, and then I had the migraines, and it's all been a bit off kilter, but I'm starting to get stable and more on top of things now. But what's happened tonight? So my brother, he had his biggest seizure in a while. He's been having some smaller ones now and then, which has been unusual. In childhood, at least, I remember them being bigger ones more often, and then he went through some periods of pretty stable, could go for a few years without really having a seizure, and then in the last few years it sort of started to pick up again, but generally been the smaller ones. There's different types of seizure. I don't know what you guys know, but some of them is just a quick jerk kind of thing, in a particular way, or like a few little shakes and then it's gone. But when it's like a full-on one, that's the one where like there's a real loss of control, and like the more stereotypical shaking and like unresponsive kind of, it's hard to describe, and I'm never going to film this sort of thing. Yeah, anyway, so he's been a little bit unwell, and this morning had a few of the smaller ones, and then in the afternoon had a few more smaller ones. I think he had some during the day with his carer, and then this evening, and I just had this sense, I'm like, there's a big one coming, and sure enough, there was a bigger one, and yeah, I don't remember when the last one was, but I'm sure earlier this year he had a few of the smaller ones, and parents are super stressed. With the bigger one, I heard it. I had already put Triton in the background. Oh, go away, Windows notifications. I'd already put Triton in the background because I was about to have a shower. That's why I look so glowy. Glowy. Yeah, and then I went in to check because I could already, like, the stress was there all day. I could already tell they were struggling a bit, and so I went in just to see if there's anything I could do. He is so heavy. They could not lift him. I was completely useless trying to help, so I ended up just standing back or, like, grabbing a pillow if needed and then stand back and whatever. But there was this really interesting moment where, they'd managed to get him from the chair to the bed, but then getting him onto the bed, and this is one of these moving beds, so it was all the way down as far as it would go, and they're still struggling to get him on, and he's sort of coming out of the seizure, panicking a bit, struggling a bit. But there was this moment where he's sort of like half on the bed on his stomach, and they're doing their thing, sort of, arguing over the best way to get him on the bed, and he kind of just looked at me. I'm standing very calmly just watching the situation, because, like, what can I do? And when he caught my eye, he just sort of went very quiet and seemed very calm. And it just got me thinking a bit. Like, my inability to feel, or like my sort of reduced emotional range, I'm not panicking about this stuff. This is just life for us, really. I mean, my parents, they obviously had more of a normal childhood, so it's a bit more of a thing for them, and it's also their kid. Whereas I'm just like, pretty much almost all my conscious life, this has been a thing. I learned very young what to do in a seizure. Like going to, I'm sure I've told the story where we were at the bowling alley and they had gone on ahead and he fell down, had a seizure. I got my Tamagotchi out because it's the only clock I had at the time and just timed it, because if it goes over a certain amount of minutes, you're supposed to call an ambulance. And I'm just sitting there casually, got him on his side, casually like, yeah, how many minutes has it been, kind of thing. And everyone's like, oh, well done, tiny little kid. And I'm just like, it's what I've been told to do. I think some of the lack of feeling that I have is probably to cope with those situations and to just do the things that I need to get done, or that I've been trained to do or told to do. Yeah, it's kind of an interesting thing. Like, not being able to feel much kind of sucks because I don't have good feelings. It's very hard for me to feel good feelings. I can act the part. I can seem like, whatever, but do I actually feel things? It's really hard for me to know. That's why my psychologist has me writing down things that I think I'm feeling and what was happening at the time. But some of the language I choose tends to be a little bit more clinical and muted. I mean, I do try, and I don't know if I ever really write things like excitement. I might write stimulated. Yeah, or amused. Amused is like one of the more positive things that I feel. If I'm going to feel more, I tend to feel more negative stuff, but it tends to be more of that introspective, like, what's the point of life? Depression, the whole thing about my migraines ruining my chances of, I don't know, making existence not suck so much. Yeah, so, I don't know, I'm just like, some of those early life experiences have numbed things so that I can cope with those situations. And like, my parents, oh my god, my dad was so stressed that he couldn't really eat dinner and had to take some medication to deal with it. And mum is doing her thing of like, it's obvious she's stressed, but she's trying not to show how stressed she is, and is coming up with some weird theories that I'm just like, I think it's just that he's sick. Because, you know, when you're sick and your body's not processing like medications properly, and there's more stress, and if he's not getting the sleep that he needs to recover, there are a lot of things that can trigger epileptic seizures. Yeah, there's a whole thing. So yeah, no, and it's just like interesting seeing their level of stress, and then I basically don't feel much. I think there was a little bit of adrenaline, but then it's sort of just this fascination with the situation, especially when he looked at me and became calm. And so at that point, I did the whole encouraging thing. What's the voice that I use? It's hard to put on the voice when I'm not in the situation. It's like, it's okay, you can do it. Trying to, can get him to get on the bed kind of thing. And I think my parents, because they're so stressed about the situation and like kind of how do we move this heavy kid, he's an adult, I think the last time they weighed him, he was about 80 kilos. I'm about 50 kilos. I think mum's about 50 kilos. I don't know what dad is, but I'm going to guess 70. So he's probably the heaviest out of all of us. And my parents are getting older. And, I feel like today was proof that I'm right, that they can't look after him forever. Which, they got mad at me in the past when I pointed that out. But like, one of the schizoid things, and like not having the emotional attachment and all that, is I can see this stuff, I can see what's happening. It's just not physically doable, and it's emotionally stressful for everyone, and there's just at some point, his future needs to be sorted out, and you can't just keep trying to do this. Like, it's just not gonna happen. Every parent of a disabled kid at some point has to realize that the kid may outlive them, and there needs to be a plan, and you need to get it done before, while you can still do it, while you're cognitively able and while you're still physically able to do enough in the meantime as things are being set up, because government moves slowly, government programs move slowly. Yeah. Anyway, so, what was I talking about? I don't know, like, it's just, I think probably, like, he had been sitting in the chair, from what I can gather. He'd been sitting in the chair when he started having this full-on tonic-clonic seizure. And, they did get him onto the ground and onto his side, like, as it finished. But I think they should have left him there a little bit longer with a pillow. I mean, he's clearly distressed. He doesn't know what's going on, and these people around him are freaking out, pulling his arms around, trying to move him around, and he has no idea what's going on. Panic, panic, panic. Yeah, I think he probably should have been left a bit longer and just reassured, like, it's okay, you're not dying right now. Because he's intellectually impaired. He can't understand what just happened. All he knows is that he's in pain and confused, and people are panicking. So yeah, when he was on the bed and sort of caught my eye, half on the bed, caught my eye, and he just was so quiet all of a sudden. He had been struggling and all that, and complaining, and then he just caught my eye, and I'm like, oh yeah. So I sort of, told my parents, look, he's looking at me, and then I'm trying to reassure him, and then they're like, okay, and then he actually started to use his leg a bit more, which I think must have been very tight, because when you have a seizure, from what I understand, is like all the muscles, like your muscles are contracting, that's where the shaking's coming from, and I think as he's getting older, his muscles is struggling to release a bit more, and then, regaining the movement as he's coming out of the seizure. So yeah, trying to get him onto the bed, because he's so heavy, he needed to do some of the work. And then yeah, as he came, I sort of moved around towards further up the bed and tried to encourage him from there, and then they're trying to help him lift his leg up. Still pulling him a bit too much, so then he's complaining again. But yeah, I think the part that I helped with was encouraging him and making him feel like it's not as big a drama as they were going on. There's a sort of cycle of recovery, and he's always the worst right after he's come out of the seizure. It's pretty full on. Yeah, he just needed to be reassured and encouraged. Once they got him a certain amount on the bed and rolled him on his back, they were able to tilt to the bed. The bed has a tilting mechanism, and sort of slide him up a bit more. And at that point I left and looked after the floof, and then went on and had my shower and gave him a big new hoof, which is probably what he wants to get back to. He's somewhere down there. Is he? Yeah, he's over there. You can't see him. It's too dark. Yeah. And I did, after I had my shower, came out, reassured the floof because Dad had trodden on his tail again or something like that. Which explains why he was barking, telling Dad, how could you do that to me? Yeah, no, I went out and then I sort of just waited a bit to sort of gauge their level of stress. And then once I was sure that they were okay to talk about it a bit, I was like, checking on how they were feeling about it, asked Mum about, what medication changes she's making, a few other things like that. How much does he weigh? We need to know how much he weighs, but they're struggling to weigh him because he holds onto the wall or something, and I'm like, okay, it's kind of important to weigh him to know how much medication to give him, but, my other brother who's moved out, he's probably the only one with the strength to actually lift a kid like that, so, maybe he can help out and help them weigh him. Anyway, yeah. So then, once I was sure that they were okay to talk about it and raise the issue at a tactful time, I was like, yeah, so I noticed this thing about Mikey being very calm looking at me, and I think he needs some reassurance, and can you imagine being this kid, you've just had a seizure, you've woken up, you have no idea what's going on, everything hurts, people are panicking, of course you're gonna freak out. And I think Mum got it, but yeah, they were so stressed. They didn't really think of it, but I'm hoping by mentioning it, they'll kind of get it. Also, previously when this happened, and I think I made some vlogs, because they were taking out some of the shit on me at the time, which I think they've learned not to do. Cross fingers. And I'm getting better at pushing back as well. I'm going to be a bit more assertive instead of just, the conflict avoidance thing, because that doesn't serve me. I'm doing all the psychological work. So previously, he would be screaming in the shower, and they were trying to clean him, and I'm the one who noticed that, he couldn't lift his arms himself, so obviously there's some pain, and if they're trying to lift his arms for a shower, of course he's gonna scream if it's in pain, so I've reminded them, by the way, be careful over the next little while, check if he's got pain before you do those things, so hopefully they get that. I don't know, it's kind of interesting because they're so stressed they can't see things, but also, there's a reason I'm the dog trainer in the family, because I can read the nonverbal signals, and I actually pay attention to the nonverbal creatures in the family, whereas my parents are more likely to just be like, oh, it's just a dog, and not understand how dogs think, and so maybe I've picked up some of that from dealing with a nonverbal kid my whole life. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, they don't have that emotional intelligence, to pick up on certain things. I don't know if this is because I have the glass child trauma, or if I've always been potentially sensitive, and maybe that's the reason I have trauma, because if I was always kind of sensitive to stuff, and then this is the life that I have, of course I'm going to be traumatized and have all these defense mechanisms and end up with mental illness, because it's the way my brain is trying to protect me from the absolute what the fuck of my childhood, especially because it happened to me when I was 3.5, I think, whereas my other brother, he was a bit too young for it to have that sort of an impact, and yeah, he's definitely affected, but not like I am. I mean, he's been able to move out and have a proper life, whereas I'm like, no, I'm just trying to survive, and make my life a little bit less shit, until I eventually die anyway, but while I'm stuck here, I might as well make the best go of it that I can, because anyway, I don't know, just some thoughts, and also some reality of what my life is, because I think sometimes I can complain, and it seems like why are you complaining? There's a lot that's going on in my life, and I need to understand it for myself as well, because it's been a long process, I gotta tell you. And I have needed my parents to get a little bit more on board for me to stabilize, and I think we're doing better at the moment. I mean, the fact that I have goals now is huge. They're not super strict goals because I'm too aware of my issues, but like I've been able to hold onto them for longer. And even just small goals like this list of videos that I want to get to already. And I know there's some comments I haven't replied to that I think deserve a reply. It's just I've been waiting to have the time and focus and not be in migraine state. But this is the other thing though. Now there's more drama. And I mean, I was hoping for a more chill day tomorrow, but I think he's not going to be going out tomorrow. And I think his carer, depending on how things go overnight, his carer will probably be here all day. And there'll probably be, like, tomorrow's a public holiday, so could be more family around trying to help out. And yeah, I'm expecting it to be a bit chaotic and crowded, and I struggle a bit when it's crowded, but hopefully I can figure out something else to do. I did do a bit of art today, finally, which I haven't done since Monday, because then I got a migraine, and I was worried that maybe sitting at the desk drawing my little things was giving me a migraine. I don't think that's what it is. I think it's another sensitivity I have, but I need a few days to pass before I declare that an actual thing. I feel like I don't know how to describe it. It just feels like there's something that was here that is not here anymore because hopefully I got rid of it. But it's very vague. It's so hard sometimes to figure out what's going on. Anyway, so yeah, a bit of drama around here. And, you know, like, my parents are super stressed, and Dad was, like, trying not to show how upset he was at dinner. But then when they had me watching, they've got a baby monitor. They had me watching on the baby monitor, although I don't really want to watch his nappy being changed, so I just sort of turn it away, but I was there listening in case they needed to yell for help. But they went in to change his nappy and also give him his evening meds, and I could see when they went in, he woke up straight away. He was fine. He was not groggy like they were expecting. He wasn't difficult. He was actually quite bright, and then when they, like, you know, he went back to sleep because having a seizure is so tiring. He's always exhausted afterwards. But yeah, when they came back out and they were commenting on like, oh, that was actually pretty easy, and I'm like, yeah. So I'm trying to reassure Dad, like, see, he's fine. You know, it's a thing that happens, but he just needs to, you know, get over it, and then, you know, hopefully the stronger meds kick in. The stronger meds do make him a bit dopey, which is why they're trying to stick to other meds, but when he's going through a thing, and also they don't know how much he weighs, they think it's 80, but it could be more. He does eat a lot. And gosh, when they did try and get me to help lift him, I'm just like, nah. I mean, Mum's about the same size as me, but she goes to the gym. And, like, I look at these arms. There is nothing there. There is nothing there. I'm not useful for the physical stuff. Like, it's hilarious that I tried to do martial arts. I should have just stuck to dance, but, you know, if people don't play the music I like. Have you seen the rap dog dance? I couldn't help myself. It's just sometimes, I think the reason I'm into music is because it's one of the few ways that I can feel other things in a sense of catharsis. Because a lot of my emotions are blunted and suppressed, probably, and so that's a way to get that out. And so sometimes when I just hear certain music, it's just like, you know, you start moving and it's like, okay, all right, that's what we're doing today. Yeah, so I chucked on the video. I had to like restart the song because I didn't realize there was no chorus towards the end, and I really wanted a chorus on there. There's a bit of extra footage on Patreon thanks to that. But yeah, and then just sort of dancing around, and then Triton joined in at the right moment, and it's like, cool. That's a rap dog now. Never mind Rap God. We're gonna be dyslexic. No hate to dyslexics, but you know. So yeah, just some thoughts, and I'm fine. It got me thinking about a lot of stuff, but that's more of like an introspective thing, and you know, I know in the morning they'll be stressed still, he might be a little bit off, and they'll be extra cautious, and tomorrow is going to be tough, and maybe I should take Triton for another 2-hour walk just to get out. I've done 2-hour walks in a row. My bloody thing, where is it? How many steps did I do today? Oh, 9,000. And most of those were this morning. Boom. I don't know if you heard that. Yeah, most of them were this morning. And then I didn't have my phone on me for much of the day. Will it do it again? No, that's it. And it sort of shakes the phone a bit. Yeah, most of them were this morning. And then I didn't have my phone on me while I was cleaning. Got my cleaning done today. I've had a good day today. Even with all the chaos later. Nah, I had a good day today. I didn't sleep the best, but I had a little bit of a headache, but after taking, I think I had a Panadol extra, cold water on my face when I was washing it, and then I was like, fine. And so then, yeah, quick breakfast, 2-hour walk with the floof, because he's getting fat. I'm trying to avoid the shops. And then, yeah, I had my morning tea, which was sort of like an early lunch as well, because I kept eating. And then I did my folding my clothes, I did my bathroom, I did my vacuuming, and then afternoon tea, did some art. And then, yeah, I was just sort of doing my thing, and then shit went down, and yeah, helped out. I guess I did help with the encouraging him and, reassuring him thing, which made him a bit easier to get him onto the bed. And then, yeah, had my shower, potted around, chatted to a friend online, and then dinner and observing my parents' behavior there. And then I'm in here and I've sort of just potted around a bit, watched a bit of YouTube about cupping the mic. Don't cup the mic. Okay, it sounds bad, and it's a way that, people with very thin screams think that they're making their screams better, and it's like, no. And fry screamers use it as an excuse because their screams are tiny and don't actually, like, if they didn't have a microphone, it wouldn't really sound like a scream. I'm so stuck up as a false quarter because I can do it naturally, and they look at what they have to do to mimic a fraction of my power kind of thing. Even though false chord isn't popular in the styles that I like, oh well, at least I'm doing a real scream instead of a... There are people who do like good fry screams, but I think they might be a slightly different technique, and the whole terminology is screwed up. Anyway, blah blah blah, Tony Linky, he's the one to go to for a proper, like a decent sounding fry, hyper compressed fry scream he calls it. Whatever that is, do that, not the regular fry scream that sounds tiny without a microphone. Yeah. Why was I talking about that? Oh, because I watched a video and someone discovering why cupping the mic sucks. But it's not just that, it's like the feedback issues. Yeah, anyway, and then talking to a friend, trying to tempt her into buying some goth stuff. I'm a bad influence. Anyway, so I guess I'll upload this and then... Am I awake enough to, like... I shouldn't post it tonight, but I think I'm not... I'm having a good day, and like when I'm having a good day I kind of don't want to go to bed because then my brain resets, my system resets, and like I could wake up shit tomorrow, I could have a migraine tomorrow, and yeah. But on the other hand, if I stay up too late I'll also feel shit, so there's that too. It's really hard to know, but there will be a point where I won't be able to concentrate, and so I should just go the fuck to bed. Anyway, so that the last, I don't know, 5-10 minutes of this video has probably been pointless, but I can't shut up, can I? Anything else to say? Nah, we'll save it for other videos. I've got 4 different ideas, but the last idea might end up being 2 videos, so potentially 5 proper videos that I want to film. So If you want me to make proper content instead of like dodgy content, you know, shorts and things my dogs are doing. Okay, if you want proper content where I talk about things that might be a little bit more substantial, wish for me not to have any more migraines. Wish for my physical health. Sacrifice a goat in my honor. That kind of shit. Much appreciated. Bye!